There's a look at lovely downtown Portland, Oregon, the home of the 2017 Portland Timbers Preseason Invitational. Real Salt Lake, Vancouver Whitecaps, your first game today. The host, Portland Timbers, taking on the expansion, Minnesota United, in about 2.5 hours. Trey Fitzgerald, Matt Gash with you here live from beautiful Providence Park, home of one of the most dominant fan bases in Major League Soccer. There's a look at Vancouver head coach Carl Robinson and RSL with the 3-3 draw against the host Timbers on Thursday night. Here's a look at the third goal from Omar Holness, who will get the start tonight for RSL.
Yeah, just such a great opportunity for Omar Holness coming back from Jamaican national team camp. Full of confidence, and you see it here as he takes this shot. Ricardo Velasco and Jose Hernandez knowing full well to get out of his way because he's a speeding train running at that ball. So as we look at Real Salt Lake's starting lineup, Nick Raimondo is going to start in goal behind a veteran back line. Tony Beltran on the right, Chris Wingert on the left, David Horst and Chris Schuler, the center back pairing. In the midfield, Omar Holness, the aforementioned, starting alongside Charlie Adams, who Real Salt Lake fans have not had a ton of opportunity to see yet. He's a Monarchs signed player who's been with the team all through training camp. Luis Silva playing that number 10 role today for Jeff Cassar. On the right, Andrew Brody. On the left, Ricardo Velasco. Chad Barrett, who Real Salt Lake brought in from San Jose, is going to start in the 9 role tonight.
Now we'll get a look at the Vancouver Whitecaps 11. Vancouver preparing for CONCACAF Champions League quarterfinals in a couple weeks against the New York Red Bulls.
Paulo Tornaghi is going to start in goal for the Whitecaps. At right back, Shannon Williams, who they brought in new to compete for that right back starting spot. Marcel de Jong on the left. Christian Dean and Cole Seiler, 2 young guys playing the center back pairing. In the midfield, Andrew Jacobson and Russell Tybert are going to start. They're competing as well for that starting spot alongside Matias Laba in the normal lineup. Giles Barnes at the number 10 role. Kakuta Mane on the left, Marco Bustos on the right, and Kyle Gregg, your starting forward.
And we are underway here at Providence Park on a cool but clear afternoon. Blue sky the last couple days, Matt, after monsoon rains early on in the tournament.
Yeah, we got a little taste of the Pacific Northwest for real here over the last week, but good to see the clear skies, and I know the players were excited to get some training. Real Salt Lake's players out at the University of Portland yesterday.
Chris Wingert looking for Luis Silva up the line, knocked away by Shannon Williams for an RSL throw as the Claret and Cobalt advance into the attacking third. Shannon Williams, few people may remember this, Matt, but got a look back in 2010 by Jason Kreis in Casa Grande when he was coming back from his travels in France, and bounced around a little bit, a few different tryouts, and ultimately landed with the Philadelphia Union where he made his MLS mark.
Yeah, in the last year or two with the Houston Dynamo, certainly provided a spark for them defensively, and they're hoping he'll do the same here, competing for that right back spot with Jake Nerwiski, who was their first-round pick. Both of those guys looking for the opportunity to start when they face the Red Bulls in just a couple weeks in Champions League play.
Vancouver turnover in the box, chased down by the veteran Chad Barrett, 31 years old, the 7th leading active goal scorer in Major League Soccer. Barrett fouled and set up a free kick opportunity here for RSL. In-swinger chested by Ricardo Velasco after the punch out by Tornaghi, and Vancouver may be a tad lucky not to be down 1-0 right there.
Yeah, Charlie Adams, this is what he brings, just really nifty with the ball. David Horst looking for a foul there in the box, but I don't know that we're ever going to get that call. But Charlie Adams, again, an injury kind of kept him out of the last few weeks, but very impressed with what he was able to bring to this team in the first few days, at least, of camp that he was with Real Salt Lake.
Another left-footed offering from Adams from the corner, nodded away as RSL continues to pressure the Whitecaps. It'll be a throw-in here for Chris Wingert, now in his 10th year with RSL. His 13th in Major League Soccer. Tybert finds Mane down the left. as Vancouver gets numbers into the attack. Here's Giles Barnes, another former Houston player acquired mid-season last year by Robinson and company. Broken up in the midfield there. Mane battling with Silva. Releases to Beltran. Back to Silva. Here's Omar Holness, we talked about in the pregame. Great goal the other day. Poor pass there. Bustos with the interception. Unable to get through Horst, though, as Raimondo clears from danger. 4th minute, 0-0. Chris Schuler with a nice step. Good to see a healthy Chris Schuler playing today on turf, Matt.
Yeah, he's been such a great addition, re-addition really, to this team since coming up from the Monarchs last year. An injury issue kind of keeping him from being active from day one last season, but he was able to work his way through with the Monarchs, get himself back into fitness, and really contribute to this team down the stretch on the defensive side of the ball. And you'd hesitate to say he's back to his previous form, but he's certainly trending that direction.
Sure. Great job by Freddie Juarez and the Real Monarchs and the team's medical staff to allow him to rehab for much of last year to get him back to MLS level. Holness wide left to Wingert. He's looking for Velasco. Velasco can't quite get around Shannon Williams. Williams finds Barnes. He nods on to Bustos. Schuler and Horst there. Gregg tracks it down. Vancouver retains possession. Gregg whistled offside there. Nice step by Schuler to get the flag raised.
Very active Vancouver has been through these first few minutes, and you see a team that's really kind of accelerated their process as they go through preseason. With Champions League just around the corner, a little bit of a different approach to preseason this year by Carl Robinson, and we saw the same thing last year with Real Salt Lake as they prepared to face Tigres, and you do what you can to push those players early minutes and get them into competitive games, and that's just what Carl Robinson's done so far with Vancouver.
Possession exchange at midfield. Finally bounces out to Wingert. His left-footed offering sails a little bit. Captured easily there by Tornaghi. As the Whitecaps look to build out of the back.
Tornaghi's been with his group for quite a bit. Played most of last year as a backup. Got some games with Whitecaps too, and finally got his first MLS start after backing up David Ousted for so long, and earned the shutout against San Jose. And from whatever everyone told me in the Vancouver locker room, there were few players that more deserving of getting an opportunity like that, and everyone is excited for him. He's one of those guys that everybody in the locker room seems to gravitate towards.
Turnover in midfield by Charlie Adams. Vancouver there to seize on it. Kakuta Mane creating havoc for much of the RSL defense. Finally ushered out for a Vancouver corner by the defender Chris Schuler here in the 7th minute.
That's just what Mane does. He causes so much havoc for defenses, and that's one of the things, if you're a fan of the U.S. national team, you've got to be excited about. He's working hard towards getting eligibility for the national team. He was with them a little bit during January camp, and just adds a different dynamic that you don't see out of a lot of the American-born players that are going through camp right now.
Dangerous corner kick falls in the box, ultimately cleared there by RSL as Vancouver reloads at midfield. De Jong looking to go over the top, former Kansas City man, and corralled easily there by Nick Raimondo, the all-time leader in just about everything goalkeeping-wise in Major League Soccer. He is 21 saves away from capturing maybe the last piece of the record book.
And consider this dead horse beaten, but still has not won MLS Goalkeeper of the Year, despite all logic and reason.
RSL, the restart. Here's Ramondo. Horst back to Ramondo. Here's Holness at midfield. Nicely done there by Andrew Brody, another Monarchs player. Velasco takes the shot, saved by Tornaghi. His shot coming from 16 yards out. And there, Matt, we get a little bit look at the speed that Andrew Brody, the former Louisville man, brings.
Yeah, you got a couple of products of Real Salt Lake's academy, and that's one thing you could say about both these teams is they really take that academy system seriously. And they give those players an opportunity to play. You've got Marco Bustos and Russell Tybert over for Vancouver who came from their academy and kind of worked their way up. And you can say the same for Real Salt Lake with Velasco and Brody. Just players that have put in the work. They've really done the hard work at so many different levels and getting those opportunities now at with the full first team.
9th minute, long ball from Chris Schuler out of the back. Knotted down by Barrett. RSL unable to collect in midfield, but eventually Mane stripped by Adams, settled by Silva. Out wide to Beltran. Back to Silva. Wide left to Winger. Velasco able to get around Williams. He's cruising in towards the box. Crosses with the outside of his right foot, near post. Chad Barrett's header just wide left.
Chad Barrett, a guy like you mentioned earlier, 7th in the league among active players in scoring. Those are just the types of opportunities he gets. And there you see Velasco charging down that left side, getting around Shane and Williams, and then crossing that ball in for Barrett for the near post header. Just missed outside rather than near post. And keep pushing those opportunities, and Chad Barrett is a guy that's going to put those away for you eventually.
Yeah, great work there by Barrett to get around Dean near post to get his head on that fantastic cross from Velasco. 11th minute, 0-0. Here's David Horst for RSL, finding Barrett at midfield. Beltran's cross knocked away. It'll be an RSL throw. Here's RSL settling again, trying to work out of the back. Get around the very spry Vancouver side that has made 9 changes to their starting 11 from Thursday night's 1-1 draw with Minnesota United. The expansion club, which will play the Portland Timbers here in a couple hours. Beltran with the throw. Barrett checks back. Surveys options. Finds Holness. Cuts into Silva. Silva just outside the box. Wide right to Beltran. His cross, far post. Looking for Velasco. Knotted down. Settled by Wingert.
Skill check there from Wingert. Words you won't hear often.
Wingert back to Adams. Velasco. Finds Silva. He's dispossessed in the middle by Andrew Jacobson, the MLS veteran. Ball finally settles to Wingert. He tries to go wide right to Brody. Knocked away. And Wingert gets the ball back once again. Goes all the way back to Ramondo to reset here as we approach the 13th minute.
Good to see, though. You get things so frantic there in front of the box, and just taking the opportunity to reset and get things back to square one for Real Salt Lake. Veteran move there from Chris Wingert to open Vancouver's defense back up, though it didn't really go for much.
Here's Vancouver trying to work out of the back. Williams. Seiler. Tybert. Tybert's one of those young guys, Matt, that for years has been lauded for his potential.
They had such a great pairing there, I feel, with in a young tandem in Tybert and Gershon Kofi earlier on in Vancouver's time in MLS back in 2011. I remember watching those two in preseason camp. And you've seen Kofi bounce over to New England.
Yep.
Now you see Russell Tybert, like we mentioned earlier, fighting out for Andrew Jacobson for that starting role alongside Matthias Laba, who's just been outstanding for Vancouver since he came over from Toronto. Much like Joao Plata, just didn't really have a place for him in Toronto and has found a place in Vancouver, as Plata has with Real Salt Lake, and really blossomed into the player they'd hope he'd be.
Here's Holness and Beltran pressuring Tybert, knocked away. Be a Vancouver throw. De Jong now with the throw. Surveying options, moving up the sideline. We'll give and go with Mané. Taken away nicely by Brody, who earns an RSL throw going the other way. Barrett takes quickly. There's Adams. Under pressure, wide left to Wingert. Wingert looking for Velasco. He's bodied up by Williams. Able to settle. Nice ball over the top, looking diagonally for Barrett, and Tornaghi off his line. Just beats Barrett by one step to that ball.
Really seeing the growth of Velasco, I think, in the first few minutes here of this game. Started off his Monarchs career playing a number 10 role and really was a little bit out of position there, but he was the best guy suited for that role that particular year. Fast forward to 2016, they move him out to the wing. He's got that year of experience where he's got to play in tight spaces with the ball, and he's just so much better on the ball now than he was 2 years ago. And he's now getting to be where he can play with those physical defenders a lot better at the MLS level, just from working with guys like Chris Wingert and Tony Beltran in training.
15th minute. Charlie Adams trying to cruise through the midfield. He's dropped by Andrew Jacobson. Foul is called. Here's a quick restart for Luis Silva. Into Velasco, out to Wingert. Back to Adams. Holness from 40. Pulls the trigger, slices just wide right.
Remember what we were saying about his confidence earlier?
He loves pulling the trigger from distance, as he should.
After he scored that goal against Portland the other night, we saw a couple other opportunities for him to do that same thing, and we're laughing with Ted Eck on the box. I don't know that there's a spot on the field where he doesn't feel like he can score from right now. And there you see another opportunity as he shoots from long range.
Well, I guess that's what happens when you grow up in Jamaica idolizing Andy Williams.
Right.
Now the head scout for RSL and member of several Reggae Boys national teams back in the day, including the 1998 World Cup, France.
And just to show you how far media has come since then, Andy had no idea how close he was to 100 caps with the national team. He says he probably would have made a few more efforts to play a few friendlies if he knew how close he was.
Here's Vancouver pushing forward. Barnes dispossessed. RSL going the other way. Here's Velasco. A little rough first touch, knocked away. But Wingert recovers. Holness, Horst, Beltran. A lot of MLS experience on this back line if you look at Wingert, Beltran, Horst, and Schuler. $35,000 minutes, I think, alone between Wingert and Beltran. Just one MLS goal, though, between those two outside backs. They did both score in a Open Cup game at Rio Tinto against Wilmington back in 2011, though. So maybe the stars will align again this year and both can find the back of the net. Wingert's going to get called for a foul there, taking down Mr. Bustos here in the 18th minute, right on the midfield stripe. Williams with the restart. Vancouver working around the back. Dean and Seiler, both super draft picks, knocking it around. Long ball over the top, looking for Giles Barnes. Knotted down by Horst. Cleared by Beltran. Tybert tries to settle. Ball goes out of bounds. Will be an RSL throw. Again at midfield.
You know, you mentioned Dean, and he comes from center back pairing back at Cal, where he was alongside Steve Birnbaum. Just quite a formidable tandem to be running through the Pac-12 at that point. Birnbaum now, he's another guy that spent a good portion of January with the U.S. national team. He's done so well for D.C. and I think just earned a new contract over there.
I believe that's correct. Holness spilled at midfield. RSL restarts. Horst and Schuler work around the back. Here's David Horst. Over the top looking for Barrett. Knotted down there by Seiler. Settled by Luis Silva. Adams. Switching fields. Wide left to winger. Adams. Adams looking for winger. Can't keep it in. All the way back there to Raimondo as RSL resets here in the 20th minute. Adams back to Schuler. Barrett checking deep. Knocked away. Vancouver retains possession though. Bustos around Barrett. Can't get through winger. No foul or out of bounds called. Finally, Bustos is going to get whistled and it'll be an RSL restart here on the near side touch. Wingert surveying options here for the restart. 21st minute. RSL Vancouver 0-0 here at sunny Providence Park. Chad Barrett nods on for Ricardo Velasco. Back to Barrett. Pressure from behind. Bustos dispossesses Barrett. Vancouver trying to spring quickly the other way. Broken up by Chris Schuler. Adams settled by Schuler. Wide left to Wingert. Wingert down to Brody. And there's an offside flag against RSL. Be a Whitecaps restart.
You know, looking again at this Whitecaps team and where they've progressed through their preseason. They started off camp over in Wales, and the logic behind that, strategy behind that, playing against U23s from Cardiff City, Oxford United, and Bristol City. The idea there is you're playing against some teams that are in mid-season form and have that match fitness that you're striving towards. It wasn't necessarily the competition level as much as the match fitness they were looking for. And being able to get that really kind of accelerated the match fitness of Vancouver themselves. And so you're seeing a team now that's, you know, a week and a half away from kicking off what's going to be a very important set of games in their club's history, really, against the New York Red Bulls in the quarterfinals of Champions League. But interesting, different sort of strategy there from Carl Robinson, who obviously has deep ties to Wales himself, a member of the Welsh national team. Sure, that was able to help him pull some strings to get some competition over there.
Here's Vancouver pinging the ball all over, searching for a way to penetrate that RSL defense. Nothing terribly dangerous so far. They did have one corner kick that Nick Raimondo and company were able to handle. As the Whitecaps reset out of the back. Here's Seiler to Williams. Williams. Deeks Velasco. He's surging forward. His cross into the middle, broken up by Tony Beltran. And Chris Wingert will usher the ball to safety for a Whitecaps corner here in the 23rd minute.
Good move up the side there from Shannon Williams. We saw earlier Velasco put a similar move on Williams. Williams repays the favor there and puts Velasco to the floor.
Yeah, Mane's cross headed on by Greg, deflected off. Might have been Charlie Adams there for a secondary Vancouver corner. Here's the replay. It was actually Tony Beltran challenging the much taller Greg. That one's cleared. Brody tries to get it out of danger. Can't quite. Back to Williams. Ball into the box. Schuler's up. Gets a head on it. Deflects wide. Giles Barnes with the shot. Deflected by Horst. Eventually Chad Barrett settles. He's trying to dribble. And does. Gets around Mane. Wide right to Beltran. And Tony will kind of slow things down here for RSL.
Barrett rather, played his high school soccer nearby in Beaverton. We're doing the Chad Barrett This Is Your Life tour all through preseason. hitting all the spots that he stopped along the way. You could take that all the way through to Chicago for the first road game where he started his MLS career.
Wingert's cross cleared by Tybert. Out of bounds. It'll be a RSL throw.
Step to the throw once he throws it.
No stops in Gig Harbor along the way, though, for preseason. We got to work on that for next week. Right?
Submit it to the travel committee. Barrett wide right to Beltran. Finds Brody. Brody under pressure there from De Jong. Dribbling all the way back. Finds Chris Schuler, his former Monarchs teammate. Schuler in the middle to Adams. Horst back to Adams in the center circle. Maneuvering. Holness. Silva. Silva's got a little more time and space. Goes wide left to Velasco. Wingert on the overlap. And Velasco's left-footed cross knocked off of Shannon Williams for an RSL corner here in the 26th minute.
You know, you talk about Monarchs players, Schuler, Velasco both had opportunities to play there last year, Brody as well. Charlie Adams signed with them right now. Omar Holness obviously played some games there as well. A lot of USL connections within this RSL 11.
'26th minute. Here is Charlie Adams, left-footed corner kick. Headed away, settled by Mane. He's fouled by Wingert. It'll be a Whitecaps restart relatively quickly here. 0-0, Providence Park. Blue skies in Portland. The sun is out. MLS preseason continues. De Jong looking over the top to Mane. He gets around Horst. Ball checks up on him, a little unlucky as he was in great position to get in alone on Nick Raimondo. Raimondo settles, finds Charlie Adams out wide right. His pass just out of the reach of Andrew Brody, and Vancouver looking to come back quickly. Seiler wide right to Shannon Williams. Deflects off of Velasco. Wingert wins the ball. Silva finds Barrett. Barrett going in alone on Dean, trying to turn the corner. Does. His cross knocked away by a sliding recovery by Tybert, wearing the captain's armband. Here's the replay. It'll be another RSL corner.
That connection between Silva and Barrett, a good example of what you're going to get from 2 out of 3 veteran players Real Salt Lake brought in to really bulk up the bench in a lot of ways, but the depth of this team, I think, is so much greater than it's been in the last couple of years under Craig Weibel. You see Chad Barrett there with the goals he scored. Luis Silva is a guy who's contributed greatly for teams. 13 goals for DC just a few years ago. And then you add David Horst into that mix, who's just been a reliable player for the Houston Dynamo the last 3 years.
Ricardo Velasco pulls the trigger from about 25. Did not miss by much. Here's the replay. from really one of the rising stars from the Real Monarchs.
And there you see again Barrett, just the savvy to knock that ball down and give the opportunity to Velasco there on that long-range shot.
29th minute. RSL Vancouver as the first game tonight. Portland Timbers, the host of this tournament, will play the expansion Minnesota United here in a couple hours. Andrew Brody unable to get around Marcel de Jong. Kakuta Mane surging ahead. He's got Shannon Williams to the right. Tries to cut back in. Dispossessed by Ricardo Velasco. Chris Wingert's clearance knotted down. Eventually Schuler and Adams trying to get it away from the RSL goal. Schuler wide right to the veteran Tony Beltran, now in his 10th season with RSL. 224 MLS appearances, the most with one team. Good research there, Matt Gash.
That's what I do, man. I'm a numbers nerd.
Back to David Horst, who was drafted by RSL, but the majority of his MLS action with Portland and Houston. Big chance there atop the box for Luis Silva. Nice interplay again between he and Chad Barrett, but his shot wide right.
Luis Silva, you know, we talked about him coming in and combining well with his teammates. You see it there with Chad Barrett. He's done it so well when mixed with any one of the groups. I mean, you talk about guys who, Yuramov Sisian, Albert Rushnak, Joao Plata, any kind of combination of players, Luis Silva's been able to find ways to work his way into that group in different roles, different positions on the field, and he's going to add so much to this group, so much versatility to what he brings to the field. If they need an extra attacker, they'll put him in as a number 8, and he's been able to play that role well as well.
Jacobson fouled at midfield by Charlie Adams. It'll be a free kick here for Vancouver. Seiler wide to Williams, back to Seiler. Long ball, looking top the box. Nice dummy. But Giles Barnes going to get whistled there for the handball. Good idea. Ball just checked up a little unlucky for Giles there on the turf here at Providence Park. The turf's relatively new. I believe it was replaced middle of last season. Ramondo's free kick, wide right to Beltran. He settles, turns. He's got Adams at midfield. Adams looking for wholeness. Can he get around Dean? No. That ball ushered out of bounds, and it'll be a goal kick for Tornaghi with Vancouver.
Holness trying to go through Dean there at one point. No easy task.
Chris Schuler wins that, heads it forward. Luis Silva trying to settle. Vancouver back line does. Then nodded away by Horst. Holness wide left of Velasco. He plays back to Winger. Winger, nice ball to Barrett. He's got time, space, and options. Poor pass deflected, and there's Greg. Challenged by Schuler. Falls to Barnes. His shot saved by Ramondo. Greg, the big point of the spear for Carl Robinson, was the leading USL goal scorer for the Whitecaps last year.
13 goals total, 11 in regular season, 2 in the playoffs, on a good run for the Whitecaps. That number 9 position, though, one that they're going to be actively pursuing at this point. But good effort there from Greg to get the ball in position for Giles Barnes. Certainly making the case for some playing time. He's going to be battling out with Hurtado up there in Vancouver for early playing time. But the spot they're looking for, the spot they're looking to improve most on this team right now is that number 9 position. So we'll see which direction they're able to go with that.
Shannon Williams and Ricardo Velasco colliding on that 50-50 ball. Shannon goes down, holding his face, as is the case with any apparent head injury. The referee will stop play. Former RSL head athletic trainer Jake Yoakum looking at Shannon Williams right now. Shannon telling everybody he's okay.
You know, as we mentioned earlier, Williams battling out Jacob Nerwinski, the rookie first-round pick for that right back spot. Nerwinski right now away with the rookie symposium, so unable to play in this game because of
RSL missing draft picks Reagan Dunk, Justin Schmidt, and homegrown addition Jose Hernandez for that same rookie symposium. They'll be back, I believe, tomorrow and available for Wednesday night's game against Minnesota here at Providence Park to wrap up the tournament. Nice interplay there from Brody to Barrett. Silva can't control. Barrett under pressuring Tornaghi, but he's able to clear from danger there as certainly the Vancouver fans hold their breath. It'll be a throw in deep in the attacking third for RSL and Tony Beltran.
You know, how many times do you see a player let that ball roll through without putting the pressure on the goalkeeper to really make a decision? And that's where Chad Barrett really benefits teams. That's how he's been in this league now for 13 years. Is you hate to say lost causes, but he chases those balls that not everyone goes after. And every now and again he makes a difference. And there you see it nearly ending in the back of the net for RSL.
35th minute, Ricardo Velasco and Charlie Adams disputing a couple calls there that result in Vancouver trying to go the other way, but eventually Chris Schuler destroys that Vancouver opportunity and creates one for RSL. Ramondo, wide right to Beltran. He nods it back to Horst as RSL resets. Horst to Beltran. He's got Brody and Holness, and now Silva surging forward. Ball goes to Silva. Dean attempts to disrupt, can't. And here's Barrett again, everything going through him. Wide left to Velasco. One-on-one with Williams. He cuts right, curls it far post. Just wide right for, again, the man from the Real Monarchs that was added to the RSL roster late last year.
You know, Velasco had 7 goals for the Monarchs last season. So many of them were from this position as he gets a little bit of space on that left wing just inside the box and not able to put that one away. But you're going to see Velasco earn those types of shots in those types of positions. And as mentioned, 7 goals last year for the Monarchs, so many of them from that exact spot on the field using that, a very similar shot to that one we just saw.
Portland fans jeering the goalkeeper there as RSL takes a throw at midfield to restart. Horst going up over the top. Nodded away by Dean. Settled by Schuler. Brody. Holness. Looking for maybe Beltran there, but eventually cleared by Dean up on the roof on the far side of the KeyBank Club. And
that's not coming down anytime soon.
That's our loudest burst of applause on the day. Charlie Adams getting manhandled like a rag doll, but the ball goes out of bounds. It'll be a Vancouver throw. Barrett really harassing that back line of Seiler and Dean. Williams around to Tybert. Bustos. He's harassed by Winger. Dispossessed ultimately. Adams back to Schuler as the pace of the passing has certainly quickened in the last 5 minutes. Schuler finding Velasco. Brody wide to Holness. His left-footed blast stayed low, and Tornaghi in full stretch able to tip it around the bar.
Yeah, the intensity certainly picked up here in that that series of possession, see Vancouver high press, pushing for an opportunity. Ball turns over quickly, and Real Salt Lake springs on that attack opportunity. Omar Holness swings the left-footed shot. Good save there by Tornaghi to push it wide. We'll see Charlie Adams with another corner kick.
Yeah, Adams with several left-footed set-piece offerings here in the first 39 minutes.
This will be the 5th corner kick for Real Salt Lake, but so many deep-lying free kicks as well.
Horst and Schuler battling for position atop the 6. Tornaghi punches it away, settles to Holness. His one-time effort goes straight up, headed out by Seiler, kept in by Wingert. Tries to go wide right to Brody. Broken up there by the Whitecaps defense, and it'll be a throw-in at midfield for Tony Beltran.
As we mentioned, Omar Holness is feeling it right now. Every ball he sees, he has a picture in his mind of how he's going to put that ball in the back of the net. Didn't quite come off there, but so much confidence from Omar Holness right now.
Nothing doing there for RSL. Will be a Vancouver throw going the other way. Adams pressuring Tybert, finds Mane. He springs Barnes down the left. Under pressure from Brody. Nice recovery by the former Louisville player. It'll be a Vancouver throw. De Jong takes quickly to Tybert. Silva tries to break up. Mana runs onto it. Falls back to Silva, and he's going the other way. He's got Barrett. 2-on-5. Plays left to Adams. He's got Velasco and Wingert wide. There's Wingert. Wide to Velasco. Back to Adams. Here's Velasco. 1-on-3. Knocked away by Tybert. It'll be an RSL throw for Chris Wingert. Wingert looking at options. 41st minute, finds Velasco, back to Wingert, and a little miscommunication between those two. But all Mr. Bustos can do is clear, and RSL will keep the ball deep in Vancouver's territory. Adams swinging back to his left foot, looking for Silva. His header, again, just wide right of that far post. Tornaghi had it covered.
Silva playing the number 10 role for Real Salt Lake right now. He's played both wide roles as well, and as we learned during his time at Tigres in the last year, spent some time as a number 9 as well, just improving that versatility and giving him opportunities like this one right here, which he puts just wide. You're not going to get a whole lot of chance to play as a number 9 with Tigres when you've got when you've got that crew in front of him.
A year of training with and against Gignac should benefit the RSL man. Adams wide left to Wingert. Velasco. A lot of the RSL attack coming down this left side. Here's Adams on his left foot. Velasco, Wingert. Into Barrett. Holness at midfield. Cuts back. Adams. Wingert. Adams with the overlap. Goes inside to Velasco. His lefty cross snared there. And Vancouver's trying to go the other way. Gregg cannot get around Schuler, though. And he'll release to the safe feet of Nick Raimondo. Raimondo wide to Horst. A few minutes left here in the first half. Horst under pressure from Gregg. Finds Silva at midfield. Silva wide to Beltran. Tries to spring Brody down the line. Dean is there, and he clears for an RSL throw. Silva looking to take quickly. Elects to hand off to Beltran. Beltran into Silva. Dispossessed. Mane and Barnes trying to go the other way. Back to Jacobson. Swings it wide right to Williams. He's able to keep it down. And Vancouver off to the races. Williams elects not to play Bustos. Goes back inside to Jacobson. To Tybert. To Mane. Swings back around to the left. He's got De Jong. Eventually plays him. Mane under pressure from Holness. Beltran intercepts and clears off of Mane for the RSL throw. Very composed defensive shape there for Jeff Cassar's side.
That's been so much of the focus of the first few weeks of training camp, and focusing on that defensive shape, making sure you've got all that squared away in each of the different zones on the field. And it started from the back, and focus on getting that defensive shape right. You get that right, and it springs for offensive opportunities. And we've seen that particularly the other night against Portland. 3 goals, the result for Real Salt Lake.
Vancouver, in the meantime, able to slice through. Bustos nearly getting around Schuler, but Schuler will usher that out for a Shannon Williams throw. Top of the 18 extended. Tybert back to Dean. Wide to De Jong. Pressured by Brody, and his switch rolls harmlessly out of bounds for an RSL throw. It'll be Chris Winger here at midfield, and no stoppage, we're being told. So roughly 30 seconds left here in the first half. 0-0 at Providence Park. Winger finds Barrett. Back to Winger. Over the top to Velasco. Ball goes out of bounds. Velasco asking for the quick throw, and then leaves it for Winger. Top of the 18 extended. Should see wholesale changes from both teams somewhere between the 45th and 60th minutes, as expected from large preseason rosters. Here's Luis Silva getting sandwiched by Williams and Bustos, earning a free kick for RSL. Could be the final sequence of the first half. The PA announcer not paying attention to the referee's whistle, apparently. He saw that clock hit 45, and he was ready.
Shouldn't be much beyond this opportunity for Real Salt Lake, though.
Silva and Adams near the ball. As Adams retreats, it'll be a Luis Silva cross. Near post, punched up by Tornaghi. Knotted back down, and Tornaghi snares the Chad Barrett offering, and we are 0-0 at halftime here at Providence Park in Portland, between Real Salt Lake and the Vancouver Whitecaps.
Great prediction there from the public address announcer to figure out 0-0 at halftime.
All right, we'll have highlights in 10 minutes, second half kick in another 15. Thanks for watching. Welcome back in, everybody. Sunny Portland, Oregon, home of the 2017 Portland Timbers preseason tourney. Real Salt Lake, Vancouver Whitecaps 0-0 here at Providence Park after one half. Trey Fitzgerald, Matt Gask with you, and Matt will go to the highlight package where the RSL attack was coming down the left side through Ricardo Velasco.
Yeah, Ricardo Velasco in his second year now with Real Salt Lake after coming mid-season. So many opportunities with the Monarchs, and you saw so much of what he was able to do on the field, and here he gets another opportunity on a shot from a ball headed down by Chad Barrett. And coming up, the last chance coming on, again, here's that replay again from the ball from the top of the box. And so much of what he does is done from distance, from long range, and this is a shot we've seen him take so many times with the Monarchs over the last 2 years, bringing that ball down at the edge of the 18, pulling it into the box and hitting that curling right-footed shot from the left side. Not able to put it away there, but continuing to get those types of chances is what's going to keep him in contention for playing time for RSL.
No apparent subs for Real Salt Lake. The Vancouver Whitecaps are just now entering the field. We'll verify. Looks like at least a couple subs for them. Both teams drew in Thursday night's action. Vancouver 1-1 with the expansion Minnesota United. RSL 3-3 with the host Portland Timbers. Minnesota and Portland will face each other here at 5 o'clock Pacific time. Looks like RSL did make one change on the right wing.
Chandler Hoffman going in there on the right wing
for Brody. And it looks like for Vancouver, got Yordi Reyna in for Mr. Bustos up top, and Christian Teixeira now in. Here's kick. RSL quickly on the ball. Luis Silva unable to control. Chad Barrett battling there with Yordi Reyna, and he's eventually fouled at midfield here in the 46th minute. Quick restart there for Russell Tybert. Reyna springs it out wide right, looking for Teixeira. Ball rolls out of bounds, and it'll be a Chris Wingert throw. Teixeira coming in for Kekuta Mane. Here's RSL. Silva trying to play Velasco. Knocked away. It'll be another Chris Wingert throw in. Long ball. Velasco trying to track it down. RSL able to keep it in. Bounds back to Velasco. Teixeira tracks it down. And it'll be a Vancouver goal kick. So 2 subs for Vancouver, 1 sub for RSL as we begin the second half here in the 47th minute. Barnes nicely done to get the ball to De Jong. He's fouled by Holness. Barnes is going to take a moment here to get his left boot back on. Ball up the sideline. Beltran trying to hem him in, but nice work by the Jamaican international to get out of danger. Taking his time. A lot of Jamaican international connections here today between Barnes, Mane, Omar Holness, Andy Williams, the head scout for RSL, Tyrone Marshall, the assistant coach for RSL in the building. Long ball over the top, taken down by Raimondo. The wall of the Wasatch, they call him. Phenomenal distribution there. Silva back to Holness. Up to Hoffman, back to Barrett. Won by Barnes. Tybert settles to De Jong. Reyna under pressure from Holness. All the way back, Dean. De Jong. Chested down by Horst. Beltran looking for Charlie Adams in the middle. Knocked away by, cleared by Chris Schuler. It's a choppy early moments here in the second half. 49th minute. 0-0 between Real Salt Lake and Vancouver Whitecaps. Tybert. Jacobson. Wide right to Williams. He finds Teixeira. Teixeira going one-on-one with Schuler. Then he gets help from Wingert. Gets to the end line, though. His cross, far post, sails just over the bar. Barnes was there. Had it come down and gotten past Nick Raimondo. Raimondo shielding his eyes from the sun as he approaches the restart. Looking for Hoffman. He's battling De Jong. Knotted down. Holness in the mix. Barrett tries to spring Hoffman. A little too much on it. It's out of bounds for a Vancouver throw.
Hold, Rusty, hold.
Be David Horst with the restart here. 51st minute for RSL. Probably about another 10 minutes for this RSL group. And then we'll have a preseason line change. Silva applying pressure to Dean. Now De Jong. Foul on Silva. Former Kansas City man with the left-footed restart. Can't get around, well, couldn't get around Velasco, and then Velasco misjudges the flight. Finally gets to Shannon Williams there. Teixeira setting up Reyna, and he's fouled by Schuler. About 50 yards from goal. Be a free kick for Vancouver. And that free kick seemed to catch Vancouver a little off guard as the ball rolls harmlessly into Nick Raimondo's arms. His punt, looking for Barrett. Down by Seiler. RSL retains possession, though. Here's Velasco looking for Barrett. Little tug on the jersey. Threw Barrett off balance, and Chris Schuler ushers the ball all the way back to Raimondo. Here's Horst. Facing his own goal. Back to Raimondo. Looking for Silva. Hoffman battling. Eventually wins. He's got Wingert. Then Velasco. Everything going through Ricardo Velasco today. Velasco's lefty cross knotted away there. But RSL retains possession. Holness to Silva. Silva wide to Hoffman. Back to Beltran, now wearing the captain's armband. It's Charlie Adams. Going 1-on-3, dispossessed there by Reyna. But RSL eventually winning the ball back, going all the way to restart through Raimondo once again. Here's Horst. Schuler in the 53rd minute. Long diagonal, looking for Hoffman. Knotted down by De Jong. Now Tybert. De Jong's ball settled by Horst. Holness. Beltran. and knocked out of bounds by Barnes for an RSL throw just in front of Daryl Shore and the RSL staff. Tony taking a minute to collect himself. Finds Holness on the throw. His cross caroms off of Tybert and rolls harmlessly to Tornagi, the Vancouver keeper. Long ball from Tornagi, knotted down by Horst. Settled by Hoffman, back to Beltran. Beltran trying to find Chad Barrett. Off the head of Dean, but Barrett wins the battle. He's cruising down the end line. Trying to find Ricardo Velasco. Ball deflects off of Shannon Williams and settled by Tornagi. But here comes RSL yet again. Charlie Adams elects not to go over the top. Trades with Velasco. He puts it to Holness's feet in midfield. Silva, Holness again. He can't get around Jacobson. But Reyna can't get around Schuler, and here's Wingard on the left. Pulls the trigger, and that shot is high and wide.
Here you see the replay as Barrett first wins the ball from Christian Dean, then pulls it into the box. And as we mentioned earlier, Chad Barrett just chases those seemingly lost causes, creates a half chance there for Real Salt Lake.
'55th minute. Tornagi discussing something with the official. And here's a restart through Dean. De Jong intercepted by Beltran. But Vancouver able to win the ball back. Shannon Williams settling with Jacobson. Seiler. Wide left to De Jong. Under pressure from Hoffman. Still finds Barnes. Beltran looks to disrupt. Tybert over the top to De Jong. And good work there from David Horst with a sizable advantage over De Jong to let that attempt roll out of bounds. Raimondo, Horst, back to Raimondo. Just one patch of sun left here at Providence Park. Schuler looking for Barrett over the top. Wingert cannot control Seiler's clearance. There's Teixeira. Mixing it up with Velasco. Barrett gesticulating to the referee what he saw. Arms flailing. Oof. Not sure Velasco's making much up right there. And there's the signal from our official. He's going to initiate the video assistant review process, VAR for short. He's going to take another look.
And it's a difficult situation there. You don't know that Teixeira did anything intentional there. Did he get him in the face? Sure, but I don't know that there was any sort of intent there. I'm not sure that matters in the end, but you hope that the referees now taking the opportunity to view it under the shield, and a quick decision there being made by our referee Armando Villarreal.
Mr. Villarreal indicating the television shape. He issues a yellow card here in the 58th minute to Teixeira. was a rather quick implementation of the VAR, and we're off and running again. Reyna, seeing eye cross into De Jong, who finds no one. There's Velasco running onto a loose ball. He's tripped up. And now Shannon Williams is going to see yellow as well.
You know, it's going to take some time, I think, for a lot of players to adjust to this VAR system. And in the end, what you want is for referees to make the right decisions. And if it takes a brief timeout every now and again for that right decision to be drawn, then that's something I think most fans would willingly take.
Chris Schuler over the top, looking for Chad Barrett, unable to find him. Williams clears, finds Reyna. Nice interchange with Tybert. Tybert looking wide left for Teixeira. Knotted out by Schuler. Teixeira tracks back. Here's Jacobson. Teixeira switches fields wide left to De Jong. He's in alone on Hoffman. Plays Barnes. Tybert. Barnes again. Getting around Hoffman, but his pass cleared. Luis Silva tries to play to himself, and he's fouled by Tybert.
Smart play there by Tybert to prevent the quick counter for Real Salt Lake. Give his team a chance to get their own shape, and maybe he looked over to the sideline and saw some Real Salt Lake players ready to come in and said, I'm done dealing with this Silva fella. Let's get some other guys out here.
And we're going to see almost all the starters from Thursday night for RSL. Rusnak, Plata, Allen, Movsisian now wearing the captain's armband, Mulholland, Sonny, Phillips, Mond, and then Emilio Orozco and Max Lakawecki will take the place of Dunk and Schmidt, the two rookies that are at the Rookie Symposium this weekend. Matt Van Okel in goal, replacing Nick Raimondo in the 60th minute. And that's actually 11 changes for RSL, Matt, as Chandler Hoffman just got 15. Mond, Lakawecki, Plata, Rusnak, the Slovakian international, now pulling the strings for RSL. Wide right to Jordan Allen. Tries to get around De Jong. Strong tackle, wins the ball. Giles Barnes. Teixeira. Williams on the overlap, going at the second-year pro Max Lakawecki. Mulholland mixing it up with Greg. Nice tackle there by Luke, one of the goal scorers for RSL from the other night. And Jordan Allen's off to the races. He's looking for Movsisian. Entry pass knocked away there by Dean, and it'll be an RSL corner here in the 62nd minute.
And here we'll see the replay as Jordan Allen gets up that right side. A moment earlier got a stiff tackle. This time he gets free, looks to play Movsisian through. Played clear for a corner by Christian Dean. We'll see Albert Rusnak to take the corner.
Rusnak finding the head of Aaron Mond, and his attempt deflects off a Vancouver player. It'll be another corner, taken apparently more quickly, but no. Rusnak, the former Man City product, most recently of FC Groningen. His near post kick knocked away there by Barnes, kept by RSL. Plata's service denied. And here's Rusnak again on the right side. Looking for Mulholland, knocked away by Teixeira. Sonny can't quite keep it in, battling with Jordi Reyna. And it'll be a Vancouver throw for De Jong as Hurtado comes in for Greg as Carl Robinson makes the change up top for the Whitecaps.
You know, as we mentioned earlier, Eric Hurtado battling with Kyle Gregg. Those are the two number 9s that Vancouver is going to have available as things get started with them in Champions League. Looking to make some additions at that position. We'll see what comes through for Vancouver as they get things ready for, like what we mentioned earlier, one of the biggest, if not the biggest game in the club's history at the MLS level, playing in Champions League against the New York Red Bulls coming up in the quarterfinals in just a couple weeks.
DeMar Phillips and Sonny trying to work through for RSL. Sonny's ball to Rusnak, knocked away by Dean. Collected eventually by Phillips. He tries to play back to Matt Van Oekel, the new backup to Nick Raimondo for RSL. As Jeff Attinella, selected by Minnesota in the expansion draft, traded to Portland. Ball knocked around midfield. Mulholland cannot win. Hurtado tracks it down. He's under pressure from Jordan Allen. Finds Giles Barnes. Plata and Mulholland applying pressure. Here's Hurtado again. Switches fields wide right to Shannon Williams. To Shera. Deep. Back to Tybert. Back to Dean. 65th minute. Dean finds Jacobson in midfield. Wide right to Shannon. Shannon Williams there to Reyna in the corner. Cuts back. Here's Williams with the cross. Cleared by DeMar Phillips. The Jamaican that I forgot to mention earlier when I was going through our list of reggae boys involved in this game.
DeMar Phillips now on the right wing with Reagan Dunk away at that rookie symposium. DeMar Phillips playing a bit out of where we're accustomed to seeing him on that left back position. Max Lakowicki's man in that spot, so DeMar Phillips, the veteran, goes to the right side. We'll see what he's able to do, kind of cutting in from that right side.
Former Chivas USA center back Emilio Orozco winning the ball for RSL there. He played with the Monarchs a year ago after some time in Mexico. Here's Phillips. Sonny trying to get around Tybert. Can't. But Tybert ultimately whistled for his harassment. Sonny, Rusnak. Rusnak, I think, looking for Mulholland. Rolls to Orozco. Mulholland. Looking over the top. There's Urim Movsisyan. Trying to beat Seiler. Can't. Williams. Tybert. Nodded away by Lakowicki. Settled by Sonny in midfield. He's got Jordan Allen. They get crossed up a little bit. Jacobson. Teixeira. Teixeira, the author of some unbelievable goals against RSL. Phillips lets the ball get under his feet, and he is dispossessed ultimately there by Hurtado. Initially a Vancouver throw, but the referee corrects himself, and it will be Jordan Allen with the restart for RSL here in the 67th minute. Phillips back to Mond. Back to Van Oekel. Van Oekel, the NASL Golden Glove winner at Edmonton last year. 16 clean sheets. 0.55 goals against average. So the man with 150 professional games under his belt, replacing Jeff Attinella as the Nick Raimondo understudy. Here's Rusnak restarting to Plata. Wide left to Lakowicki, back to Rusnak. As Plata and Movsisyan try to make some runs. There's Sonny, Orozco, Mond. Allen under pressure. Turns out of it from Tybert. Tries to find Rusnak. Ultimately dispossessed there by Jacobson. And here's Yordi Reyna. His pass to Tybert not good enough. Rusnak wins that ball, but gets crossed up with DeMar. And Mond ultimately enters the fray and restarts through Van Oekel. Lakowicki, Mulholland, Plata, Sonny, surging forward. Rusnak, Great interchanging runs here from RSL, and Plata's shot from distance curling wide right of the post. 68th minute. And if you're an RSL fan, you have to like the fluidity of that sequence.
Yeah, anytime you're seeing Sonny surge forward like that, you know it's going to be with intent. And there you see, plays the ball to Rusnak, back to Movsisyan. Ball ends up wide to Plata, whose shot misses just wide of the net. Substitution there for Vancouver as the young man, Alphonso Davies, good product from their academy system, comes on for Giles Barnes. This is an electric young player, just 17 years old, and so much expectation as he steps in, and so much hope for what he's able to bring to this team over the next few years.
Yeah, starting to see a lot of academy products throughout the league emerge, not only in preseason, not only in USL play, but now for each Major League Soccer side getting real valuable minutes. Here's Davies. His cross gets through Mond, knocked away by Orozco, settled by Sonny and Mulholland as they try to work out of the back. Mulholland with the giveaway. Davies is on it. Back to Reyna, and his shot gets around Van Oekel and in. Vancouver goes up 1-0 here in the 70th minute.
Yeah, just a poor play there from Luke Mulholland on that back pass. I'm not sure what he saw on that. We'll get the replay here shortly. But here it is, just a bad giveaway. And Davies just touches that ball to Reyna, gets that curling right-footed shot that goes just inside that far post. And here we are in a game that Real Salt Lake has outshot Vancouver 13-5. But Vancouver gets the first opportunity, the first goal here in the 70th minute.
McKendry now in for Jacobson for Vancouver as Carl Robinson makes another change. Van Oekel able to get a finger on that, but not to keep it off frame. Here's Mulholland again. Wide right to Phillips. Finds Plata. Plata and De Jong going after it. De Jong pushes Plata. Plata finds the ball. Forward to Movsisyan. He's trying to play back to Rusnak. They get crossed up. And Dean is there to clear from danger for the Whitecaps. Long ball over the top. Orozco and Reyna battling. Orozco clears for a Vancouver throw as the Whitecaps keep the pressure on here. Lakawecki nods it down. Teixeira settles in front of Allen. Now Allen and Plata have switched wings. Tybert back to Seiler. Shannon Williams can't get around Jordan Allen. Sonny wins the ball. Back to Allen. Sonny. Mulholland. Allen. Plata. Phillips. Mond. And Mond is fouled by Hurtado from behind. Uglier more than violent, and RSL restarts quickly. Here's Mulholland. 72nd minute. RSL just going down 1-0. Rusnak switching fields, wide right to Phillips. Chests it down, tries to cut back. He's probably not used to cutting left. Here's Sonny. Plata does nicely to free Sonny again. Wide left to Rusnak. He's got options. Pulls the trigger himself, deflects off a Vancouver defender. And it's going to be an RSL corner here for Joao Plata in the 72nd minute.
And here we see Sonny getting into space again. Plays that ball wide to Rusnak, who gets some time. Not quite the space he was hoping for, but got some time there to put that ball through and really make Vancouver think.
Plata searching out Orozco on that restart. Sonny settles. Bodies are flying in the box. Mons shot from 8 yards out, deflected away by a prone Vancouver defender. Dean. There goes Reyna. Reyna fouled by Mulholland at midfield after a little give and go as we get a look at Mons' attempt.
Yeah, Mulholland wins that ball back into the box. Sonny may have handled it, not sure, but gets the ball forward to Mond, thunders that shot. Cole Seiler there to kind of roll into the block. Vancouver maintains their 1-0 advantage.
Mulholland back to Van Oekel. He settles nicely, finds Phillips. Back to Mulholland. Long ball over the top. Movsisian trying to get onto it. Gets tangled there with Seiler. Tornagi to Dean. Vancouver with just a little more pep in their step after scoring that goal, understandably so. Seiler wide right to Williams. Back to Seiler, back to Tornagi. Dean under pressure from Rusnak. He wants to know where Mulholland was with the other pressure. McKendry. Nicely done there by Orozco to win the ball. Sonny. Allen. Movsisian. Does well to create some space for himself. Seiler diving and pokes the ball out of bounds. Kyle Beckerman dealing with a bone bruise in his tibial plateau of his left knee. That's why we haven't really seen him on most game days throughout the preseason, but he's aiming to be ready for March 4th. Here's Sonny atop the box. Looking for Rusnak, deflected away and cleared by Vancouver. Mon down to Orozco. He's got Lakawecki to the left. Plays him. Allen. Lakawecki overlaps. Allen checks back. Finds Sonny. Mulholland in the circle. Sonny. A lot of time and space here for the Notre Dame product, Lakawecki. Played virtually every game for the Monarchs a year ago. Orozco. Mulholland. Sonny. His ball to Lakawecki intercepted by Williams, and eventually Tybert settles for Vancouver. Dean to De Jong. Surging forward. De Jong carrying the ball about 40 yards. Crosses far post. Finds Hurtado. He's whistled off, but a nice little sequence there. His shot, his volley, high.
Yeah, you wondered how a guy, Eric Hurtado, was able to get so much space there. We find out just the reason as the AR raises his flag.
Mond with a great ball out of the back, checks down, finds Movsisian. He and Rusnak trying to get on the same page. Wide left to Allen. Allen pulls the trigger from 20, and that offering sails just high, just wide.
This quick strike counterattack as Real Salt Lake gets out into the open field. Ball ends up wide to Allen. His shot just high, but you like to see the aggressiveness from Real Salt Lake coming out of the defensive side. Getting those quick opportunities. You're going to see so many goal-scoring chances come of that as we did on Thursday night against Portland.
Long ball out of the back from Dean. Sails wide. It'll be a RSL throw here as DeMar Phillips directs the positioning. Movsisian checks back, poked away by De Jong. Davies on the ball, finds Reyna. Reyna battling with Sonny, and Sonny wins the ball, but is adjudged to have overrun, and he's going to see yellow for maybe getting up the back of the legs there for Reyna, as Villarreal has given 3 yellows, all 3 coming in about the last 15 minutes. 20. Russell Tybert with the restart. Wide to Shannon Williams. Back to Tybert. There's Seiler. Williams. Tybert. To Shera. Williams. Under pressure from Jordan Allen. Blocked away. Movsisian will run onto that ball. Nice defense there from Jordan Allen. Mulholland trying to spring him down the left side. Ball checks up. He's got it in the corner, does Jordan. Jordan one-on-one with Shannon Williams. Teixeira applying pressure. Ball back to Sonny. He was looking for somebody near post, but both Mulholland and Rusnak cut off their runs, and Tornaghi is there to settle and now get Vancouver going the other way. Long boot. Knotted down by Mon. Davies and Phillips battle. Phillips wins it. Orozco, the Jamaican international, under pressure there from Davies, but it's an RSL throw here on the right side. I'm not sure DeMar has officially announced his retirement from Jamaica, but it's been about 14 months, I think, since he's been called by the Reggae Boys. 79th minute. It's going to be a Vancouver throw here. De Jong in front of the Vancouver bench. Looking for Hurtado in the box. He's battling with Orozco. Back to Davies. Mulholland breaks it up. Plata and Rusnak are there at midfield on the right side. Plata switching fields. His ball intercepted nicely there by Teixeira. He's trying to spring Hurtado, whose chip over an on-rushing Van Oekel was headed more towards the sideline than the goal. Cleared by Orozco. Kept in by Reyna, and Vancouver resets. Teixeira all the way back to Seiler. To Dean, under pressure from Rusnak. Back to Tornaghi. 80th minute. RSL down 1-0 to Vancouver. Here's Davies trying to get around Phillips. Does. Surging towards the box, looking for options. Tries to go near post. Denied by Van Oekel. Davies will give and go with De Jong. His pass into the box broken up by Orozco. And ultimately Mulholland and then Sonny trying to build out of the back. Jordan Allen at midfield. Back to Mulholland. Wide left to Lakawecki. Mulholland again to Sonny. Wide left. Movsisian makes his run. Cross broken up by Seiler. Settled by Sonny. Back to Orozco. Mond probing around right. Joao Plata extremely deep. Finds Mulholland. Deflected away by Davies. Vancouver tries to go the other way. Dean's ball for De Jong, a little too strong, and it'll be Albert Rusnak with the quick throw. Finds Plata. Plata into the corner. Back heel to Rusnak. Rusnak left. Lefty pass looking for Mulholland. Broken up by Dean. He clears. And Orozco and Mond find Phillips, Mulholland, and now Plata as RSL going the other way. Plata plays Phillips through on the overlap. Inside to Rusnak. He pulls the trigger from about 18 yards out, and that ball is well struck, but wide right of frame.
Here's the look at the replay as DeMar Phillips goes up that right side. Returns the ball to Rusnak, who pushes it to the right side. Blasts his shot, but high and wide as he looks to equalize here in the 82nd minute.
Vancouver at Red Bull Arena on Wednesday, February 22nd, and then back home at BC Place on Thursday, March 2nd. Whitecaps single match tickets now on sale and starting at just $27. Here's Jordan Allen in alone, and he equalizes very nicely by the RSL man. Long ball over the top, chested down, and Jordan does it all himself. In the 83rd minute, RSL 1, Vancouver 1.
Allen's really had a strong preseason as he looks to take this right wing position and make it his own. Here you see Joao Plata pushing that ball forward. Allen stays on side, chests the ball down, and the first touch shot puts it past Paulo Tornaghi. We're 1-1 here in the 83rd minute.
Love the poise and composure there by Jordan Allen. Really with a big opportunity to nail down that right wing job in Jeff Cassar's 4-3-3 this year. Nice ball over the top by Joao Plata to add an assist. Plata, the only RSL man to score in all 3 competitions for the club last year. CONCACAF, Open Cup, and he and Euro were the club's leading scorers with 9 regular season goals.
Allen now stepping into that right mid spot vacated by Juan Manuel Martinez, and Jordan Allen, the leading scorer thus far with 2 goals in preseason for RSL.
Another long ball over the top, looking for Movsisian, settled by Phillips. His cross looking for Plata. Won by Sonny. He pulls the trigger from 22, and it's wide left as Albert Rusnak applauds the intent there by Sonny.
Everybody saw Omar Holness the other night.
And Luke Mulholland.
Yeah, they want their Tyler Gibbons slow-mo replay highlights.
And Joao Plata. In fact, all 3 goals for RSL Thursday night against Portland coming from outside the box. Tornagi's goal kick knotted down by Orozco. Settled eventually by Luke and Sonny. Wide to Movsisian under pressure from Teixeira. Breaks his ankles. Here's Rusnak pulling the trigger again from long range, and he's high. That offering is. 85th minute is RSL pushing for what could be a game winner.
There we see again Yermov Sisian putting that ball where only Albert Rusnak can get it. Presses forward, gets that shot away and misses high, but we've seen Albert from the first day he was in camp with RSL unafraid to take those chances, and you feel that he's going to put those away at some point. And the more you watch him, the more impressed you are with how he's able to gel so quickly with his teammates.
Phillips with the restart. Mulholland on the right side finds Sonny. He's looking for Rusnak, who finds Mulholland. RSL a little 3-on-2. Wide left to Plata. He's 1-on-1 with Shannon Williams. His shot deflects away. Mulholland chasing, winning, and keeps the ball in for RSL deep in the left corner. Back to Lakawecki. Here's Sonny, 30 yards out. Little chip to Jordan Allen. Tornagi read it well, off his line, intercepts, and springs De Jong now going the other way down Vancouver's left side. Allen hustles back to apply pressure here. Wins the ball from Alphonso Davies. Davies with the foul, and once again, RSL going the other way.
Jordan Allen, the savvy veteran when standing next to Alphonso Davies, picks that ball clean. And with young players like those two in this league, you can't help but be optimistic about where the direction that Major League Soccer is heading. The more players like that you're able to develop at your own academy, and then you add in young players like Albert Rusnak, who come in at 22 years old on designated player contracts.
Three minutes left. Another substitution here for Vancouver. Is Baldissimo in for Tybert. Mulholland trying to intercept that throw, but knocks it out of bounds. It'll be another Shannon Williams offering. Shannon known for his extremely long throws. Elects not to. Deciding. Hurtado. Eventually settled by Rusnak at midfield. Plata. Turned over. It's going to be another Vancouver throw. Right at midfield. Couple minutes left. for either team to get the game winner. Orozco trying to break it up. Settles to Reyna. He tries to play himself. Broken up by Sonny. Sonny to Mulholland. His offering from Obsessian intercepted by Seiler. And then it'll be Lakawecki whistle for the foul on Teixeira. Plata towering over Teixeira as the restart swings all the way back around left. De Jong trying to play Davies. Phillips gets a head on it. Davies brings it down, and Phillips is able to knock it out for a throw. Tried to take it quickly, did Marcel de Jong, but Armando Villarreal stopping play as Phillips attends to his shin here. Here you can see on the replay what happened in that sequence. And thumbs up from Villarreal, and here's a throw from de Jong as the ball comes out of the stands. 89th minute. Vancouver throw. Goes through everybody, and it'll be an RSL goal kick for Matt Van Oekel. Van Oekel telling everybody to step up. He's going to boot this one long. Line drive to Movsisian. Yura doesn't settle that quite as cleanly, but still wins the ball from Davies. Tries to play it back to himself. Ball squirts away from him on the unfamiliar turf, and be a de Jong throw for Vancouver. Dean almost finding Teixeira, knocked away from Lakawecki, settled by Davies. Dean again. Rusnak applying pressure. Dean able to get it back to Tornagi. 50-50 ball at midfield, headed over by Phillips. One eventually by Mulholland. Tries to play a little give and go with Movsisian. One again by Dean. He's looking for Hurtado over the top. Knotted down. McKendry in the corner. Can't get around Jordan Allen, but it'll be a Vancouver throw as we approach the 1 minute of stoppage. De Jong taking his time. To begin what it should be close to the final sequence of this match. Throw to Teixeira, back to de Jong. Dispossessed by Allen. He finds Rusnak. Rusnak trying to play Mulholland down the line. Knocked away by Vancouver. It's going to be an RSL throw in front of the Vancouver bench. No throw, though, Matt. 1-1 is our final here at Providence Park. We'll get a look at the match highlights and help you get ready for Minnesota and Portland, which should kick off in approximately half an hour.
3 matches here at Providence Park, 3 draws so far. We'll see if Portland and Minnesota can have a winner tonight.
Jordan Allen with the late equalizer. But first we'll look at the game highlights here. Mulholland with the giveaway. Davies. And then Yordi Reyna with the goal there, Matt.
Yeah, such a quick touch there from Davies to find Reyna. And Reyna just pushes it just clear of Aaron Maughan to get that shot away and puts it away inside the far post.
Matt Van Oekel got a fingertip on it, but that was it. Here you see RSL winning the ball in midfield, and then Plata sets up Allen over the top.
Yeah, and we've seen that cohesiveness from Real Salt Lake's opportunities, and Rusnak pushes wide to Plata, over the top to Allen. Allen with his 2nd goal of the preseason equalizes the match for Real Salt Lake, who remains unbeaten in preseason thus far.
There's a look at Providence Park coming up at the top of the hour. The hosts of the tournament, Portland Timbers, facing Minnesota United. An hour away from kickoff we are. Keep it tuned right here. Thanks for joining us today. We'll have all the action back again on Wednesday night. RSL Minnesota, Vancouver against Portland. Visit VancouverWhitecaps.com or RealSaltLake.com for opening weekend MLS tickets as well as CONCACAF Champions League tickets if you're a Whitecaps fan. Good night, everybody.